the Bible a junk book, the Bible a junk book, be with me and let us study something right now. Truth telling time, brain at work. When somebody read the Bible to you, you will be a taste, you will be a believer. When you study the Bible yourself, you will be an atheist or you will be a non-believer of the Bible. When you come to Christianity, Christians believe in the redemptive suffering. Christians believe in vicarious liability in crime. What do I mean by redemptive suffering? That, for instance, I have committed a crime and somebody else will be held accountable for the crime I have committed. Or somebody else will suffer my punishment. That is redemptive suffering. Vicarious liability in crime. I have committed, my father did something wrong, and I will be held accountable for what my father did. This is an example of vicarious liability in crime or redemptive suffering. Christians agree with that. That is why Christians says they are comfortably committing sins because Jesus Christ have died for their sins. The people who belong to the Old Testament, on the other hand, are saying no. Today, I am going to expose the Jews, especially the Orthodox Jews, who oppose the theory of vicarious liability in crime. I am here to expose the Jews, the people of the Old Testament, who do not agree with the theory of redemptive suffering. It is in the Old Testament, but they refuse to see it. Before I go, let's read something from Ezekiel chapter 18, verse 4 and verse 20. Listen to it. I'll do this lesson in English and in Ewe. Okay, all right. So in English first. Ezekiel 18, the verse number 4. For everyone belongs to me, the parent as well as the child. Both alike belong to me. The one who sins is the one who will die. The one who sins is the one who will die. Ezekiel chapter 18, the verse number 4. Now, verse 20, the same chapter 18, verse 20. Verse 20 says, the one who says is the one who will die. The child will not share the guilt of the parent, nor will the parent share the guilt of the child. The righteousness of the righteous will be credited to them, and the wickedness of the wicked will be charged against them. This is a fantastic quotation, and I, Sister Dakoba, fully support this quotation. And this verse, Ezekiel chapter 18, verse 4 and verse 20, disagree or even oppose the idea of vicarious liability in crime. Vicarious liability in crime. Ezekiel chapter 18, verse 4 and verse 20 oppose it vehemently. Now, we are moving to Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 16. I'm saying that Christians have agreed that vicarious liability in crime or redemptive suffering is there. That is what they say. Jesus Christ has died for their sins. According to the Christian, Jesus Christ is not a sinner. According to Christians, Jesus Christ have not committed a sin. They have committed a sin, but Jesus is suffering or has suffered on their behalf. This is Christianity. The Jews, on the other hand, even though their book, the Old Testament, support that claim, have opposed it. And I'm going to expose the Jew today. So if you are in Ghana here or wherever, you call yourself Jews, we are the lovers of the Jew. I stand with Israel. Hey, come and listen. Come and listen. I quoted Deuteronomy chapter 24 verse, that is Moise 5, 24, the verse number 16. Redemptive suffering, good or bad, according to Old Testament. Parents are not to be put to death for their children, nor children to put to death for their parent. Each will die for their own sin. I'm taking it again. Deuteronomy chapter 24 verse 16. Parents are not to be put to death for their children, nor children put to death for their parent. Each will die for their own sin. Again, this quotation is a strong opposition to redemptive suffering or vicarious liability in crime. All right? Okay. There are more. If you read Ezekiel chapter 14, let me take that one for you. Ezekiel chapter 14, the verse number, I think 14, Ezekiel 14. Let me add it to it so that you know that I am not here to conjure any teaching. I'm taking all from your own Bible, unless you tell me that because I've made this lesson, you no longer believe in the Bible. Ezekiel 14. Vicarious liability in crime. Good or bad? According to Christians, it is good. According to the Jews, orally it is bad, but their books support it. Even if these three men, Noah, Daniel, and Job, were in it, they could save only themselves by their righteousness, declared the sovereign law. Oh, okay, let me start from verse 13 or verse 12. The word of the Lord came to me, Ezekiel chapter 14, verse 12 to 14. The word of the Lord came to me, Son of man, if a country sins against me by being unfaithful, and I stretch out my hand against it to cut off its food supply and send famine upon it and kill its people and their animals, even if these three men, Noah, Daniel, and Job, were in it, they could save only themselves by their righteousness, declare the sovereign law. So, according to Ezekiel chapter 14, verse 12 to verse 14, if a country, let's say if Ghana commits a sin against God, against Ayatafrim or Nimokafrim, and God is annoyed, and also Bempa Obinim and those people are in Ghana, the righteousness of those people cannot save even their own children. It means there is no vicarious liability in crime. When your father is a sinful person, the punishment of your father cannot be given to you. Again, there is no redemptive suffering. Nobody will suffer the punishment that is for another person. Old Testament is saying this. I am done laying the ground. So, per Ezekiel chapter 14, Ezekiel chapter 18, and Deuteronomy chapter 24, there is no vicarious liability in crime. There is no redemptive suffering. The same Old Testament, listen carefully to it. I am now going to prove to you that the Jews, people who are in Ghana today, we have followed the Jew before. And I, Avram B. Moshe, Yahuda, P. Black, myself, and Jet Lead, other people. You know us, man. We have stopped it. But some people says, we who have stopped, we are lost. And these people, every day, you will hear them criticizing Christians. And I'm saying, the problem they are accusing the Christian for is also in the Old Testament. So, my guys, Jews and Jew sympathizers, look into your Bible. You will see something. You will see something. Now, the same Old Testament who says the one who sins is the one who will die. Watch it. The same Old Testament. Isaiah 53. Isaiah chapter 53. The verse number, let me take it from verse 4. And I'll read verse 9 as well. You will see something. What is Isaiah? Isaiah chapter 53. The verse number 1. Okay. Verse 4. Surely, Isaiah 53, the verse number 4. Surely, he took up our pain. Hey, come on. Surely, he took up our pain and bore our suffering. It means there is a suffering that is for us, but we didn't suffer it. Somebody else suffered that suffering. Yet, we consider him punished by God, sticking by him and afflicted. Verse 5. But he was pierced for our transgressions. He was pierced for our transgressions. So, the Old Testament, Deuteronomy chapter, Ezekiel chapter 18 verse 4 says, the one who sins is the one who will die. But listen to Isaiah 53, the verse number 5. He was pierced for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was on him, and by his wound we are healed. Is it not the same thing Christians say? Is this not the same thing Christians say, that Jesus Christ suffered on their behalf? And you, the Jews, you have been saying that Christians are telling lie. Do you not also have the same thing in the Old Testament? You call it Tanakh. If you are a Jew, come and answer. Rabbi Moshe Mizrahi, you have a missed call. Rabbi Moshe Perez, you have a missed call. Especially Mizrahi, I want Rabbi Mizrahi to speak on this issue. If you are that peanut Jewish sympathizers, you have nothing to say on this regard. I want Rabbi Mizrahi to speak to this issue. Mizrahi, are the Christians right to say that Jesus Christ died for them, or they are wrong? Because your own Tanakh, Isaiah, is also saying the same thing. The suffering prophet. The suffering prophet is also saying the same thing. Verse 6, Isaiah 53 verse 6. We all, like sheep, have gone astray. Each of us has turned to our own way, and the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. The Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. The iniquity that we have committed, the Lord placed those iniquity on him. It means we didn't suffer for our iniquity. He suffered for our iniquity. Meanwhile, Ezekiel chapter 18 verse 20, Deuteronomy chapter 24 verse 16 is telling you that the one who sins is the one who will die. Those quotations are telling you that there is no liability, there is no vicarious liability in crime. That's how the lawyers call it. Punishing another person for the sin another person has done. In law, they call it vicarious liability in crime. Jew says that thing doesn't exist. But your book is saying it. This is not of verse 9. Okay, verse 10. Isaiah 53 verse 10. Yet it was the will of the Lord to crush him and cause him to suffer. And though the Lord makes his life an offering for sin, is it not the same thing Christians say? Rabbi Moshe Mizrahi, is it Moshe Mizrahi? Rabbi Mizrahi and Moshe Perez, I am saying that you have a missed call. Come and explain this. I am asking you, are Christians right or wrong according to religion? that Jesus Christ died for their sin? If you say yes, they are wrong. Then you, the Jew too, you are wrong. If you say yes, if you say no, they are not wrong, then all of you are wrong. I don't know if you are getting this. If the Jews, the Orthodox Jews especially, if you say that Christians, they are wrong to say that Jesus Christ died for their sins, then you, the Jews too, you are also wrong, because the same concept is in your Old Testament. Now, if you say the Christians are not wrong to say Jesus died for their sin, then both the Christian and you yourself, all of you are wrong, because redemptive suffering is a lie. There is no vicarious liability in crime. What you say? That is the truth. That is the truth. So let's continue. I'm done with Isaiah. You see, I haven't quoted Psalms. Then you come and tell me, oh, I quoted Isaiah, who is a major prophet. I am moving to Moses. You see, Moses spoke in Deuteronomy 24:16 and say, children are not to be put to death for the sin committed by their parents, and parents are not to be put to death for sin committed by their children. People are to be put to death for sin they themselves have committed. The same Moses in Exodus chapter 20 verse 5. In the law, in the 10 Commandments itself. Let's check it. Exodus 20 verse 5. The verse number 5. You shall not. In this case, God is addressing the Israelites who were present at the Mount Horeb, and he's telling them, you shall not bow to them or worship them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, punishing the children for the sin of the parent. I'm taking that part for you again. People read this verse, but they never understood it. Today, you are understanding it. You shall not, you, for instance, you the one watching this video, you shall not bow to idols, you shall not bow down to them or worship them. For I, the Lord your God, am jealous God, punishing the children for the sin of the parent. So you, the one who commit the sin, God will leave you and go and punish your children for the sin you have committed. This is in the 10 Commandments. Exodus chapter 20. This is what I'm reading. Exodus chapter 20, the verse number 5. Vicarious liability in crime is here in the 10 Commandments itself. Redemptive suffering is in Isaiah 53. Somebody will commit a sin and another person will suffer for the sin the person committed, is here in the 10 Commandments itself. But the Jew will tell you that that thing is never true. Have you ever studied the Bible? Let me continue. Now, Exodus chapter 34. The quotations are many. I'll give the rest to you to go and study on your own. Exodus 34. Exodus 34 verse 7. Listen to this one. Here, the God audaciously said these ignominious things. Let me take it. Exodus chapter 34 verse 6 to verse 7. Listen to it. And he passed in front of Moses, proclaiming, the Lord, the compassionate and the gracious God, slow to anger, abounding in love and faithfulness. All these are lies. The God of the Bible is never compassionate. He is not a compassionate God. Somebody who is compassionate will not leave the guilty person and sentence the innocent one. We call that in law miscarriage of justice. It is called in legal terms, they call it miscarriage of justice. When the guilty person is there and you punish an innocent one, it is called miscarriage of justice. And the God of the Bible is full of miscarriage of justice. He does not demonstrate industry. The God of the Bible knows nothing about justice. He is He is saying that the compassionate and the gracious God. Who is compassionate and gracious God? Slow to anger. Is this God slow to anger? Exodus chapter 32. When the Israelites worship the golden calf, how many days it took God to kill 23,000 people in a day? They say that he killed 23,000 people. And this God is telling you that he is slow to anger. The God who in 150 days kill all the people and animals in the world, animals that commit no sin, that God killed them in the flood of Noah. He is calling himself a compassionate God and a God who is slow to anger. Can that God be described as someone slow to anger? When King David counted the people of Israel that God himself asked him to, after counting the peoples of Israel, how many days has it took that God to kill the inhabitants of Israel for the sin David has committed? He is calling himself a compassionate God and slow to anger. He added something, abounding love and faithfulness. Is this God full of love? If he's full of love, why should he go ahead and take the wife of Joseph? If God is full of love, why should he destroy the people of Sodom and Gomorrah for committing gayism, for practicing homosexualism? But today, the same God is sitting down watching people practicing it and he's quiet. Is that justice? I am saying the God of the Bible is full of miscarriage of justice. Let me continue. So Ezra 34 verses 2 to 7. And he passed in front of Moses, proclaiming, the Lord, the compassionate and gracious God, slow to anger, abounding in love and faithfulness. Verse 7. Maintaining love to thousands and forgiving wickedness, rebellion and sin. Yet, he does not leave the guilty unpunished. He punishes the children and their children for the sin of the parents to the third and the fourth generation. I'm taking that portion for you again. He punishes the children and their children for the sin of the parents to the third and the fourth generation. So God punishes the children and the grandchildren for the sin committed by their ancestors. If your ancestor committed a sin, God will not punish that ancestor. Or even after punishing that ancestor, he is still going to punish you and your children for the same sin your father or your grandfather has committed. This is what when you go to Judaism, they will tell you, no, it is not like that. It is when you also come and continue the sin your grandfather committed. Is that what the Bible said? Is that what your Bible said? The grammar here is saying what? He punishes the children and their children for the sin of the parent. He didn't say for committing the similar sin. No, he said for the sin of their parent. So, redemptive suffering or vicarious liability in crime is also here in the Old Testament. And I'm reading from Exodus. Smart. You have the Bereshit, the Shemot, the Vaikra, the Bamidbar, and the Devarim. Is that also? Oh, it's Hebrew. You know us now. We've been with you before. We know the secret you have. What you say? So it is there. So if you are a Jew, you have no locus. You have no locus to talk against the Christian because they believe Jesus Christ died for their sin. That is not to say that Christians are right to say so. Okay? Because both Jews and Christians, you are wrong on that theory. You all are wrong on that theory. The Bible, of course, is a junk book. It's a junk book. See, You see that Ezekiel 40:40 is saying that even the righteousness of Noah, Job, and Daniel cannot save their children. I can prove to you in the Bible that the righteousness of Noah saved his children. Genesis chapter 7, I think verse 1 or verse 3. Genesis chapter 7. They say Noah was the only righteous person in his time. But God told him, okay, so the Lord said to Noah, go into the ark, you and your whole family, because I have found you righteous in this generation. I want where they said Noah is the only righteous. It will be chapter 6, the later verse. Corrupt. Okay. All right. Genesis chapter 6, the verse number 9. Listen to this one. This is the account of Noah and his family. Noah was a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walked faithfully with God. Please, who was righteous and faithfully walked with God? It is Noah. His children are not part of it. Their wives are not part of the righteous people at that time. Genesis chapter 6 verse 9. This is the account of Noah and his family. Noah, not Noah and his family. No, Noah was a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walked faithfully with God. So it means Noah is a righteous man. Shem, Ham, and Japheth with their wives were not described to be righteous as well. But Ezekiel chapter 14 verse 14 is saying that the righteousness of Noah cannot save him, cannot save his children. Meanwhile, Genesis chapter 7 verse 1 is telling you that Noah, Shem, Ham, Japheth, and their wives were asked to go into the boat. So if the righteousness of Noah cannot save his family, why his wives and the children were also asked to join the boat? Contradiction in the Old Testament. Me say Old Testament contradiction no ayo hu kra che New Testament dey no. Truth telling time, brain at work. Brain at work. Now, this is, let it be 28. I'm starting with the ever version, okay? Truth telling time, brain at work. Brain at work. Yeah, Tonyo, nyasronde. Nelele le son sea loa wo yo na nane banade vicarious liability in crime. No kenye vicarious liability in crime. Vicarious liability in crime enye banade le wonouvon ti wa we le wonouvon ye court mete le o police mete le o ade no po viwa wa le viwa de no alona afeto o wonouvon de yo le afeto o di o mpe wa o edokplavia whatever le o de no awo funya o akplo be dega eyo yona le lom benade vicarious liability in crime egoma ikonyibe amabubu wonouvon ye over wo funya amabubu de nouvon si amamada wonta le se goma vicarious liability in crime le exemia egomema de kahanga lo ga yona mdade redemptive suffering ala religion me wole redemptive suffering yubana amado wonouvon vo ameno nouvon ya lelo yiwa vo funya amabubu de amamada fa nouvon tabana amamada wa kpo bodwe aba Kristo to wa bana yo wonouvon vo Yesu eva kpefu de yo nouvon ota ye ya yo kpo agbemavo emma le religion ma oyona banuka redemptive suffering le nya go sema yo yona ba redemptive suffering baba redemptive suffering ma enunye onya vicarious liability in crime enunye onya awo manya nunyo amasina wonovoa amamaye dola kpefu amayine wonovoa eye dola kpefu de yan topo nouvota enyama tutututu ye Old Testament ya ye peut akpade le beblon vo akpa bubu galena Old Testament ya ye ha gbonya bubu ye fienge mele egba ye stronge mi le egba nana va mia to Christo to gboa wa wia o hwe de mezere kabena yo yala yo wonuvo ye yo ga poto le nuvo vo Yesu ye va kure yo pe nuvo ta ne le yide jiwu to gboa wa o begbere amabubu mate kude amabubu fe nuvo ta o amerika mate kpefu de amabubu fe nuvo si o ta o ye glome Old Testament ale ta quickly nya yide nso sonji na kotu verse ade na la pobe nya ke glon lare la pobe nya te pe ta na la hlan na la hlan